Language is one way that defines a culture, especially Indigenous cultures. However, many Indigenous languages are dying, which is why Indigenous language revitalization is necessary. It is evident that Indigenous languages are at risk because many of the traditions and cultures are orally passed down within generations of families, and the language can easily disappear in between generations. Language revitalization is done when the Indigenous language is taught and used in their schools, homes, and their environment through programs created by different Indigenous groups. By guiding the children to learn their language, Indigenous communities participate in the revitalization of their native tongue and recover a culture that may have been lost. Through language revitalization, they are able to revive their culture, establish a new connection with their people, uphold their language for the future generations, and restore their language that was oppressed by colonial forces.
The forbidding of language was a major tool used by the U.S. in creating a cultural genocide for Native peoples. In most colonial situations, oppressors often try to rid of language, take away diversity, values attached to words, phrases, and language structure, and eventually break down whole cultures, which are very much held together by language. It was in 1870 that the U.S. started forcing Native Americans into boarding schools in hopes of what they saw as civilizing or whitening populations. It was at these boarding schools that, amongst the forcing out of many cultural practices, Native language was also forbidden and replaced by English. For Hawaii, 19th century missionaries wanted to teach the Bible, so they created a writing system for the Hawaiian language. However, after the overthrow and annexation in the 1890s, Hawaiian language was banned from schools and government. In the Second Hawaiian Renaissance period, strong efforts to revive Hawaiian culture were showing progress, and while the language almost went extinct, it is still alive today.
While language is used to inspire and motivate us, it can also be used to dehumanize human beings and to justify their suppression and even their extermination. Oppressive language is defined as any word that uses an identity or an identifier that belongs to a certain group as a negative or undesirable quality. Oppressive language is a form of verbal violence that can be used in a strategic way to assert power and to exterminate a group's culture and their formal language. Those who suffer from being oppressed suffer with their right to be different, their right to be able to have the opportunity to use their language as they please, and their right to preserve their culture.
To combat oppression and revitalize the language, Hawaiian, for example, was reinforced via arts and culture, specifically chants and music, hula dance, and Hawaiian pidgin, as evident in the 1800s when it was used as a means against the language ban in schools and government. Language revival is also seen in literature through poems, stories, and historical records, as well as schooling that incorporates the arts and culture tied to the language.
Revitalization ensures survival of the cultural spirit and the values of traditions by having programs that teach the younger generation. It is a basic human right that serves for Indigenous sovereignty, identity, and connection to the land. The Esther Martinez Native American Preservation Act amends the Native American Languages Act of 1990, which strengthens the Native language education by creating and funding Native language nests, Native language survival schools, and Native American language restoration programs. Linguistic theory depends on linguistic diversity. It is one of the demands of linguistics to understand the range of possibilities within human language and the cognitive models that would account for this. The study of historical linguistics, language universals, and OG, sociolinguistics, and cognitive linguistics has been driven by the study of the very indigenous languages whose existence is threatened.
In 1983, a small group of Hawaiian-speaking educators formed the Aho Punana Leo to re-establish Hawaiian medium education. At that time, Hawaiian medium public schools were closed for nearly 90 years, and the last generation in which Hawaiian was a common language of all Hawaiians was in their 70s up until this point. The main goal of the Aho Punana Leo was to assist the few families trying to revive Hawaiian in their homes and in the small communities that still used Hawaiian at all age levels by starting up family-run preschools. The program was the first to re-establish Hawaiian as a sole language of the home, and the parents were determined that their children would attend preschool and public school in Hawaiian. The Aho Punana Leo is a non-profit organization that now serves approximately 175 children in the 9 Punana Leo preschools in the United States and develops their own materials for them to use. The program has been very successful in its language revitalization, academic, and family involvement goals, and it now has a long waiting list because of its high demand.